Life of a Showgirl has officially sold over 4 million units in the first week. The tracking is over and Taylor has officially broken the record. Love Taylor or hate her, you need to understand that this is a record that probably will never be broken again because no one really buys physical copies anymore. Adele's 25 currently held this record with 3.4 million units sold in the first week. Hits Daily Double in their latest article does confirm these final numbers for Taylor, and this is like so crazy. I believe around 3.5 million of those units sold have been physical copies as well, with the rest being like, of course, from like streaming or digital variants that you can download. I just don't think that this will ever happen again. Like, even when Adele did it, it was crazy that she debuted that high. But now that Taylor's doing it 10 years later, when now streaming is more prevalent than ever, and you don't really need to buy physical media, like, even if it's her fans buying 5 or 6 copies of an album, like, she has created a fan base that wants to do that for her. Like, I just can't fathom it. Like, even if you don't like Taylor, you have to respect this because it's just something that feels so untouchable.
The 12 tracks for my 12
tracks,
12th
bangers.
So
okay.
This is
What does it take to make history? For most artists, it's a lifelong struggle. Decades of grinding, hoping for that one hit, that one shining moment that cements them as legends. But for Taylor Swift, history making isn't an exception, it's a pattern. And this week she's done it again. The Life of a Showgirl has not only debuted at #1 in the UK, it's completely redefined what success looks like in modern music.
track 1, The Fate of Ophelia.
Within hours of release, the album stormed the charts with an energy that felt less like a launch and more like a cultural takeover. 3 songs from the project didn't just land on the singles chart, they occupied the top 3 spots. That's dominance no one's seen in years, not in this way, not at this speed. Vinyl sales, shattered records, streaming platforms buckled under the weight of fan demand, and critics were left scrambling to find new superlatives. But here's the real story. This isn't just about numbers, it's about what those numbers mean. Taylor didn't just outpace her peers, she broke through barriers many thought were unshakable. She took a record once thought untouchable, one held by Adele, and flipped the script. And in doing so, she's forcing us to ask a bigger question. Are we watching the peak of Taylor Swift's career, or is this only another step in her unstoppable climb? In this video, we're diving into the heart of this moment, what it means for the UK music scene, for Taylor's legacy, and for the future of global pop. By the end, you won't just understand the numbers, you'll understand why this moment feels different, why it matters, and why it might just be the turning point that rewrites music history for the next decade. Because Taylor Swift isn't just topping charts anymore, she's rewriting the rulebook. And if you thought you knew how far she could go, think again. Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube reported simultaneous surges, millions pressing play the moment the album went live. Within hours, the data started rolling in. According to the official charts company, Swift's 23rd album didn't merely debut at #1, it consumed the entire top tier. The lead single, Fate of Ophelia, shot straight to #1 on the singles chart, with Velvet Cage and Midnight Masquerade following right behind at #2 and 3. Not since the Beatles' 1964 run has any artist monopolized the first 3 positions of the UK singles list, and certainly never a solo female performer. Radio 1 announcer Clara Amfo captured the nation's mood in one sentence. We're not watching a chart battle anymore, we're witnessing Taylor Swift's coronation. The tone across British media was unanimous. BBC News, The Guardian, and Sky Arts all ran variations of the same headline within hours. Taylor Swift makes chart history again. But raw sales tell an even louder story. By Friday morning, The Life of a Showgirl had moved over 380,000 album equivalent units in its first week, an astronomical figure in the streaming age. For context, Adele's 30 opened with over 260,000 units in 2021, a record that industry analysts thought might stand for a generation. Taylor shattered it in 4 days. And then came the vinyl revelation. The British phonographic industry confirmed that the album sold more than 115,000 vinyl copies in a single week, making it the fastest-selling vinyl album of the 21st century, and the UK fans lined up outside independent record stores in London Manchester, and Glasgow as if it were 1975 again. Proof that Swift can make physical music feel magical in a digital age. By Monday, the official charts company released its verified figures. Number 1 album, The Life of a Showgirl. First week sales, 380,400 units. Vinyl sales, 115,000 plus copies. Top 3 singles, Fate of Ophelia, Velvet Cage, Midnight Masquerade. Streaming milestone, over 150 million UK streams in 5 days. Those aren't just statistics, they're evidence of cultural gravity. You could feel it in every conversation, every meme, every radio call-in. Listeners weren't merely consuming an album, they were participating in an event. So what exactly Taylor Swift has built a career out of controlling hers, but this release shows what happens when she releases it full force. The rollout of The Life of a Showgirl wasn't simply an album drop, it was a global event planned with military precision. Every teaser, every aesthetic choice, every lyric reveal had been building for weeks, creating a sense of collective anticipation that exploded the instant the album went live. From the moment the lead single, Fate of Ophelia, premiered on BBC Radio 1, commentators sensed a shift. The production carried cinematic weight, a sweeping mix of live strings and synth pop reminiscent of her 1989 Taylor's version sound, but darker, more theatrical. Critics described it as Lana Del Rey meets West End glamour. That blend, nostalgia colliding with reinvention, became the backbone of the entire project. When the official charts update hit on Friday morning, the reaction was instant and visceral. UK Swifties congregated in Leicester Square, waving handmade posters. Radio presenters interrupted scheduled programming to announce the milestone live on air. Even prime ministerial spokespersons were asked about it in passing during press briefings. One BBC reporter joked, "The country's running on tea, weather talk, and Taylor Swift this week." The cultural saturation raised a critical question for analysts. Why now? Why did this album, in this moment, cut so deep? Theories abound. Some point to timing. Autumn releases have historically favored introspective records, and Swift capitalized perfectly on that seasonal mood. Others credit her thematic pivot. Showgirl explores performance itself, the exhaustion, the costume, the person behind the persona. In an era when authenticity is currency, fans recognize themselves in that metaphor. Meanwhile, social media engagement followed predictable but still staggering curves. TikTok's analytics platform recorded over 1.2 billion total video views using Showgirl tracks within the first 5 days. On X, formerly Twitter, over 2.5 million unique users engaged with the hashtag Showgirl era in 24 hours. Brands quickly joined in. Gucci referenced the album's aesthetic in a campaign, and even the Royal Opera House posted a cheeky meme. Every performer has a little showgirl inside. All of this reinforces the story's core truth. Taylor Swift has mastered not just songwriting but event creation. Where other artists release albums, she orchestrates cultural phenomena. Her rollout blurred lines between music, marketing, and myth-making, culminating in record-breaking data that analysts will study for years. In your role as narrator, you can see the shape of the story clearly. It isn't merely about success, it's about control. Taylor Swift, once dismissed as a teenage country act, now dictates the pace of global pop. She decides when conversations start and when they end. That authority was never clearer than this week in Britain, where every metric, every headline, every playlist seemed to orbit her gravitational pull. By Sunday night, with official totals confirmed, celebrations broke out worldwide. Fans projected digital billboards reading "She Did It Again" across London Bridge. In Manchester, a Swift-themed club night sold out in minutes. In Edinburgh, a symphony orchestra performed an impromptu medley of Showgirl tracks during an encore. the UK wasn't just listening, it was celebrating. And that's the real headline here. Taylor Swift's latest record didn't just destroy charts, it rekindled communal listening in an age of fragmented attention. For one extraordinary week, millions were united by melody, narrative, and shared experience. Analyst Rob Copsey summed it up on the Official Charts podcast. Taylor's done what no algorithm could. She's reminded people that music can still feel like an event worth gathering around. History doesn't announce itself. It happens quietly, until suddenly it's undeniable. That's what the past week has been for Taylor Swift and the world of pop music. The life of a showgirl didn't just climb the charts, it consumed them, redefined them, and left the entire industry scrambling to recalibrate what's possible. You've seen the evidence, the numbers are staggering, the impact global. But the truth behind this moment runs deeper than data. It's about transformation. It's about an artist who has evolved in public for nearly 2 decades, who's turned heartbreak into art, criticism into momentum, and fame into a force for connection. For the UK, this wasn't just a record-breaking event, it was a reminder of how music can still unite millions in one emotional heartbeat. From London to Leeds, from Manchester to Cardiff, the sound of Showgirl became the pulse of a nation. An album release turned into a cultural holiday, and every fan, every listener, became part of the story. And as the headlines fade and the charts reset, one question lingers. Where can she possibly go from here? Because Taylor Swift isn't just breaking records anymore, she's rewriting what they mean. Every milestone she hits becomes another chapter in a story that refuses to end. So when you look back on this era, the night she owned the UK charts, the weekend the internet belonged to Showgirl, the moment pop music remembered its power. Remember this, you were here when it happened. You witnessed it. You lived through the moment Taylor Swift didn't just make history, she became it.